feel like it's a fallacy that we've all been taught, that, oh, you put in your 401k so you can save on taxes. Well, there's a million other ways to save on taxes. And it's no joke that Trump paying no taxes. And it was a big hoopla when that came out, right?
Right.
But
all of the billionaires and all
it's totally legit and legal, right? There's good debt and then there's bad debt. Good debt is if you're leveraging, if you're taking out a loan to buy something that is gonna make you money, I mean, that's good debt, right? Like if you're buying a house and you're gonna rent it out,
like if you can borrow money for 4% and you can get them to pay 8% and you can make the difference, it's good, right?
Good debt, right?
Because you're making money on the money.
Yeah. And then you have bad debt. Obviously, bad debt is like, I'm charged too much on my credit card. That's bad debt.
Walk us through the blueprint from scaling from $0 to your first $1 million raised. Welcome to Built to Scale, the podcast where vision meets action. I'm your host, Quinn Schilz, founder of Master Roofing, and I'm here to pull back the curtain on building world-class teams, scaling companies, and turning bold ideas into unstoppable momentum. Let's get to work. What happens when a high-powered tech professional walks away from a six-figure job to a multi-million-dollar real estate investment firm from scratch? Today's guest did exactly that, and she's going to show you how. Welcome to Built to Scale, where we dive into the unfiltered playbooks of entrepreneurs and how they built their business brick by brick. We're sitting down with Dear Ngo, founder of Remy Equity, a company where she's helping everyday people break free of the 9-to-5 to build generational wealth through passive real estate investing. From her days as a software engineer and a tech programmer to navigating her first real estate syndication to raising capital, scaling systems, and helping others live life by design. This episode is packed with raw, step-by-step strategy for anyone ready to scale into financial freedom. If you're a young entrepreneur looking for a roadmap out of the rat race, this one's for you. Let's get into it. Welcome, dear.
Thanks for the awesome intro. I'm like, wow, okay.
Awesome.
Thanks for having me here. I'm excited to be on.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm excited to have you here too. I have a ton of great questions for you for today. So you left a high-paying tech job. Why?
Well, I'm in my 40s. I'm not a spring chicken, right? And I woke up one day, it was years in the making, but, I woke up and I was like, I can be in this job and working till, retirement age at 67, not living my dreams, not living what I want to do, traveling and having the time I want with my kids.
Yeah.
And I thought there must be a better way. And so I decided to bet on myself and jump into real estate because ultimately I 100% believe real estate is the, like they say, 1% of the billionaire or the 1% or the most billionaires are made from real estate, right?
I think it's like 80 or 90%, right?
Yeah. So I jumped into real estate because I thought that was the path forward, and I wholly believe that it is. And I wanted to help other people do the same, along with my journey as well. So
that's awesome. That's super inspiring. What was the moment you realized that tech wasn't the path anymore?
Well, it was a lot of things adding up. Okay. I mean, I did all of the things. I graduated college, got a master's degree, got a good job, got married, all the things, and built a nice 401k, nest egg and everything. And I was just staring at, say, like my Northwestern Mutual, like 401, like my IRA, and looking at it and realizing like, wow, financial advisors are taking a big chunk. And I'm paying a huge quarterly fee in thousands of dollars to a financial advisor. And there must be a better way. And so I started talking to other people and asking the questions. And I realized that there's so many other investments that are possible to be made out of Wall Street and out of investing in stocks and investing in, your financial advisor who's stealing thousands of dollars from you every quarter. And so that's kind of where it began. And I dug deeper, and I talked to people, and I went into real estate, and learned about private equity, and learned about alternative investments, and real estate, which is my favorite.
There's a lot of things to unpack there. For a lot of people who don't know what a 401k is, an IRA, those are just your traditional investment accounts that, kind of get pushed on us. And IRA stands for what? Like an individual retirement account, right?
Yes.
401k is just like I think IRA can be a little more restrictive of how much money you can put into it on an annual basis. 401k, I think there's a little bit more lenience, but it's just, you go into that account, it's set up for retirement. You're not supposed to touch the funds until after you reach a certain age, I think 65, right? If you take money out earlier, you can be penalized, and then you have to basically just invest it in like stocks when it's in that. So you're saying you realize like how you can, instead just following that traditional route, right, utilize other types of investments like real estate and other forms of investing in the market, correct?
Yes, there's tons of alternative investments out there. And not to say that those things are bad, right? Like if you have a 401k with your job and then they're putting in money to equal what you're putting in, you should absolutely do that. But, it's I feel like it's a fallacy that we've all been taught, that, you put in your 401k so you can save on taxes. Well, there's a million other ways to save on taxes. And it's no joke that you have like Trump paying no taxes. And it was a big hoopla when that came out, right? And
right.
But
all of the billionaires and all
it's totally legit and legal, right? Because they're making use of the tax code and they're doing things legally.
Correct.
Hopefully legally.
Yeah, but they're like depreciation on real estate, right? You're not going to get that from a stock. So there's a lot of different other ways that you can utilize the money that's in your 401k. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you can actually take that money out of the 401k and put it into a real estate investment, for example, right?
Yes. I mean, there are ways. So you can, if you are an entrepreneur, for example, you could set up a solo 401k.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people don't know what a solo 401k is, but it's awesome because it allows you to invest in basically anything that you want. So you have the freedom to invest and get the earnings back into the account tax-free and invest. So basically you can invest in crypto if you wanted to. You can buy a house. You can anything, basically.
So if you're like in a corporate job and you have a match 401k plan where they put money, you match it, right, kind of thing, do they usually choose what investments that is invested in, or do you have the choice since it's your retirement account?
Well, it's called a self-directed 401k, solo 401k.
That's the one you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the one
but
I'm talking about.
But if it's like from a corporation, like you work for a company and they set you up,
exactly.
do you not get to choose the investments
you
usually?
Do, but usually it's something like a specific specific funds.
You only have a choice of options you can choose from.
You have a choice from what they give you.
Got it. So you can't just buy Bitcoin with it.
You can't just go buy Bitcoin with it. No, usually that's not the case. I mean, maybe the times are changing as more institutions are buying Bitcoin, but you're limited in what you can buy. You can't run off and buy a apartment complex with your solo self-directed a traditional 401k. So
how do you make passive income without being a landlord?
So the best way is to, and there's so many options out there, honestly, but there are a lot of, one option is through syndications and finding a person that is already doing real estate. And these are for, if you don't have the time, it's really built for people who already have, like yourself, you're busy and you're running a company, or you have a job and you don't have the knowledge, or you don't, necessarily want to do all the ins and outs of, say, real estate. Then you make connections, mm-hmm. and you network and you learn about, you talk to people that are doing doing real estate really well, running apartments. Gotcha. Or, other types of real estates or funds. And then you partner up with them. Essentially, you have a share in the deal with them, but you're partnering up, and at the same time, you get all the tax benefits as if you were the owner. So your percentage share, you can take advantage of that depreciation as well. But in the end, you're not cleaning toilets, you're not dealing with management, and it's really just checkbox money after your initial investment.
You're making money in real estate without owning a single property. How do you do that? Can you give an example of what you just explained?
Well, technically, in a syndication, you are part ownership, right?
Okay.
You do own a share of an LLC that owns.
You're more passive than active then, in a way.
But yeah,
okay.
You're like a passive member.
Okay.
Exactly. So that is how you can earn passive income. So technically, you're not a direct owner, but you're a passive member.
Got it.
That makes sense.
How much did you make in your best year?
Oh, I don't know. Well, I don't think I've had my best year yet.
Okay.
There's a lot of projects brewing right now, and I'm getting into mobile home parks.
Awesome.
Yeah, which is a great real estate investment because of the economics of it compared to other real estate investments. And then I'm doing something here locally. Here, I'm building a custom home in Newport, custom luxury home off of Newport Beach as well.
That's super exciting.
So we'll build that, and next year we'll, flip it basically and double.
What are you hoping to make on that deal?
Well, we bought it for 2.2, and with already in a year with a year's appreciation is probably worth 2.5.
Okay.
And we're after the whole new.
So like you made $300K without doing anything, just the property value going up.
Yeah, because
right.
California property value appreciates like that is awesome, especially in a great area in Newport Beach. And when we sell it, we're probably hoping to we'll probably make about a couple million off of that.
So most people dream of 100K. What did your best year in business look like, and how'd you do it?
Well, I don't think I've had my best year in business yet, but I think it's coming in the next year when I finish my flip.
With the Newport house?
With the Newport house, yeah.
See, I think you were breaking down like you bought it for 2.2, right?
Yes. And the appreciation in California, its value, this year has gone up like 300,000, which is crazy. And then, when we sell it, we'll sell it next year and probably make about $3 million on it. Double
That's
that,
awesome.
Yeah, it's a great location, so you can't beat the location.
Where is it in Newport?
It's in West Newport. It's
okay.
Like, if you're familiar, it's not quite on the peninsula, but it's on the low-key strand between Huntington and Newport.
Yeah, it's a great area.
It's like one of my favorite areas of Newport.
Yeah.
The rest of Newport is busy. The pier and the peninsula is a little busy, but
to get in and out of there, it's crazy.
Yeah.
You help people ditch mutual funds. Why don't you believe in Wall Street?
Well, going back to paying my financial advisor 1% of my 401k.
Yeah.
People are just out to get money, and that's how the system is built. And we're paying a crazy amount of fees that there's other investments that everybody's getting a piece of the pie, right? So when at the very end of the day, the average Joe or average Jane is getting a little less of the pie and working really hard and not being able to keep everything that they're making because it's going to all these extra fees and
like the management fees you're talking about?
Management fees, yeah. Yeah, when there can be so many opportunities out there for alternative investments where you might be paying some fees, but it's, there's potential to make a lot more. And especially with real estate, you're taking advantage of the depreciation and, wiping out any taxes that you might be getting from your gains.
How would you explain depreciation to one of your kids?
Well, it is basically, I don't know, how do you say that simply to your kids? I'm thinking of my 4 and 8-year-old.
It sounds complicated to people, but it's really not once you understand the concept. Like I would say, depreciation is like if you have to pay you're basically lowering your taxes through depreciation.
Yes,
That's the advantage of
yes.
depreciation. So you're taking like what's on the tell me if I'm right or wrong, but you're taking what's on the land, right? You can't take the actual houses on land, but you can depreciate parts of the house, like fixtures, light fixtures,
Yes,
all the things,
yes.
right? Over, I think it's what, like a 30 or 40 year period, depending on if it's residential or commercial.
Yes.
And then that gets divided, and then you can take basically all of that that loss of like what the value of that property goes down and put that against your, like, let's say you made 100K that year, but you can actually take that whole lump sum depreciation
Right.
and then write off the 100K. So your taxes really shows like you made zero because
Yes.
of that depreciating asset, right? Through that property case study. And then once that happens, then you can lower your taxable income. So that's the advantage of the depreciation in real estate, right?
Yeah. Thanks. That's a very good explanation. Exactly. And it gets more detailed than that. And I actually was interviewing a cost segregation
That's what's called
specialist.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it really gets broken down, especially when you're looking at, say, commercial. And this is not explaining it to my kid, but when you're breaking it down for commercial, you can break it down into different years. You know, there's your 15-year depreciation, 5-year depreciation versus, you know, residential, you depreciate year by year over 27 years, right? But the great thing about doing a cost segregation, and a lot of real estate deals and commercial do this, is they do the bonus depreciation, so you can take everything in that first year. And especially in commercial deals, when you may be only holding it for 5 years, that's great because you take everything in the first year and carry that over for the next few years. And yeah, essentially wiping out most of what you're getting distributed as far as your gains for each year.
What's the real danger behind most retirement accounts that nobody talks about?
Well, I think it could be like when you eventually do retire, and you know, depending on what type of retirement account you have, if you have one that is pre-tax, you're obviously, when you retire, you still gotta pay taxes when you get your distribution. So that's the kind of like what you have to plan for if you go that route, right? But I'm looking at things a little bit differently. You know, I'm trying to, I don't wholeheartedly believe in, you know, retirement accounts. I believe it's a bit of a sham. And these days there's so much opportunity out there if you find it and you have the right connections, because what that 1% and the wealthy are investing in are not open on the table and available to most people unless you have a relationship with that person and unless you know them, and so you need to get out there and meet the right people to be able to make these types of investments.
I love that. So from engineer to CEO, what was the scariest day?
I think every day is a little bit of a scary day, actually. It's such a different mentality and mindset moving from having worked. I mean, I worked in the tech industry in all different types of roles, from software engineer to program management and all the things in between for a good 20 years. And it is such a mindset shift, changing from working from somebody else and knowing that you have to be at this meeting, you know, do some spreadsheets, all for somebody else's company, versus, dang, it's all on me now and it's my company and I own it. But also changing the ownership of structuring your day. It's just the first leap is like when you leave your W-2 job and you're like, wow, my day is wide open. What am I going to do?
Sure.
And it's all on you. And so really that mindset shift of, you know, then becoming like, how do I become the most efficient, and then go and then scale after that. You know, then you start reading books like Dan Martell's book and Buy Back Your Time.
It's a great book.
You know, it is a really great book. I've been reading Buy Back Your Time several times and listening to the audiobook. It's so good. And then
what's the biggest like takeaway from those two books?
The Buy Back Your Time, well, right now it's on repeat as I drive in the car, and it is how can I, because I'm finding, as I scale and I grow, that the time to do the things that I had been doing is very limited. And so now it's all about making SOPs and finding the right people to do the things like that I had been doing myself, that I don't need to be doing myself, that I can be handing off and paying somebody else to do, and buying back my time. So SOPs and finding the right people, finding the right team to help do the things that I can't do. I don't have enough time in the day.
And if you're listening and you don't know what an SOP is, it's a standard operating procedure. So basically you're taking something that you're doing in the day that you can delegate to somebody else, and then you're just writing down the step-by-step process to do that, so that it's a documented process in your business that somebody else can handle those mediocre tasks, so that doesn't hold up all your time throughout the day. So it's a great tool to use, especially when you start to build and scale and delegate in your business.
Thanks for breaking that down. Sometimes I think in acronyms all the time. When you come from like tech and engineering, everybody's always talking in acronyms, and it's so like normal.
I get what you're saying, but I always like to, like, if we sometimes are always thinking that way, so I break it down for the guests and our audience, so that they can also understand the more complicated terms, or maybe they haven't heard of like KPI or SOP and things like that, right? So when did you no longer realize you were going to be an employee but a business owner?
Well, quite honestly, I mean, it was in the back of my mind for several years. I knew when I was working that there was something else that I needed to do. And don't get me wrong, it's not like I hated my job or anything like that, and the people I worked with were great, but it was just like this like internal feeling of like there's something else that I need to be doing, and I need to be making my own path, and so the thought had been lingering in the back of my mind for years, but honestly it came to a point where honestly what it was is mom guilt.
You wanted to spend more time with the kids?
Well, the short story is my daughter, she was young, and we were not quite we were waiting on the waiting list for preschool. And so, I had a nanny to help me out. And the nanny decided to quit. She had other things, other plans. And it was like, well, should I spend this time with my daughter now and hang out with her? Or hire another nanny for the however long, not that long, right? So
sure.
I decided that what was more important is to spend some time with my daughter while she's young, because I'll never get that time back. And then when it came time for her to go back to school, should I go back? No, I don't want to go back. There's other things. I need to find another path, because I wanted to continue to be able to spend time with my daughter. Don't get me wrong, like working for myself doesn't mean I don't work a lot. I do work more often, but it's more of being able to choose the time and choosing when I want to work.
I love that. If you lost everything, what would be the first 5 steps you'd take to rebuild Rimray equity? Like, here's what I'd do if I started from zero today.
I would. I would. Sorry, I have to think about this one. It's all about making the right connections and finding the right partners.
Okay.
So
step 1 would be to connect with the right people.
Right. So, in real estate, like, it's a team sport. And everything that it's real estate. You can't do it alone. Even if someone says that they can do it alone, they can't, because you have a team to work with, right? And so it's about, and then also the best deals come from the relationships that you have, whether it be brokers or finding, off market deals. And so it would be just getting myself out there. The first step, if anybody wants to start a company, I think, is to put yourself out there and start making all the connections that you can, and do what it takes to put yourself in the right room with the right people at the right time, no matter what it takes. So whether it be like spending the most expensive amount on a conference ticket so you can get in the VIP room with the right people who will get you to the right place, or have the connection if maybe they know somebody that will have a good deal or have a good connection, or will just be a great future potential partner.
Totally.
Yeah. So
I agree with you a lot on that. I think I made a lot of great connections by spending a little bit more maybe to get to be in that right room, because it's not only what you learn and the content from that course or whatever, right? It would also be like the connections you make with the people who are also investing in themselves and building something too.
Yeah. And I think also I would definitely spend more time in building out and following the idea of the who not how, and spending more on people that do things really well that I can't do, whether it be like bookkeeping, accounting, or things that I shouldn't be spending on, so that I can focus a majority of my time on the things that will bring the most value to my company.
So tell us about your upbringing. What shaped your mindset before tech?
Well, before tech, I grew up in the IE. I mean, nothing fancy. I didn't grow up rich at all. I had a single income household. My dad was laid off when I was younger, and I think I grew up seeing my mom work really hard, day and night, 2 jobs. Wow. Sometimes I wouldn't see her. Sometimes she would be gone before I woke up for school, and then she'd come back after I was asleep. And so sometimes I wouldn't even see her. And I think that mentality kind of just really stuck in my head as to why I am the way I am. I work really hard, but that thought also led me to really want to be there around for my kids and start my own company so that I can make my own time and make the time that I want when I want, instead of working for somebody else and working where someone tells me to be. So really, in the end, it's like the 3 F's. And this is what I always say, right? Like, we're looking for financial freedom, also time freedom, location freedom. But we're doing all the things for this financial freedom to be able to have those things, right? To have the time, to be where we want to be. So that's kind of how it all ended up.
What was your first exposure to wealth or entrepreneurship growing up?
I didn't really have that exposure growing up. I didn't know anybody that owned a business, and my parents were immigrants and they worked really hard. But I didn't know about the idea of entrepreneurship and owning your own company until I was later in life. When I was later in life, when I started meeting people who had their own companies. But things like learning about finances and like financial literacy, those weren't a part of all the things that I had when I was growing up, coming from an immigrant family. And so that's kind of like why I place a lot of emphasis on what I'm doing today. It's because like a lot with my company that I do is trying to put out financial education, especially with families and kids. And overall, just to talk about things like taxes and cost setting and things like that people don't know about. But they should, because everybody should know about that to build wealth.
Originally, why did you choose tech in the first place, and what were your early wins?
Still coming up.
There's good debt and then there's bad debt. Good debt is if you're taking out a loan to buy something that is going to make you money, I mean, that's good debt, right? Like if you're buying a house and you're going to rent it out.
Like if you can borrow money for 4% and you can get them to pay 8% and you can make the difference, it's good, right?
Good debt, right?
Because you're making money on the money.
Yeah. And then bad debt. Obviously, bad debt is like, I'm charged too much on my credit card. That's bad debt.
SoCal homeowners, why pay $15,000, $20,000, or even $30,000 for a new roof when instead you can get a new roof for only less than $100 per month? Here at Master Roofing, we serve homeowners with high-quality roofs with no hefty upfront costs. So give your house the roof it deserves with zero down and low monthly payments. Why wait? Click the link below to get you a roof you deserve for payments you can afford.
Oh, well, that's a long story. I mean, not really a long story. I chose tech because I graduated in computer science. It was like, I was like 21 or 20 or 18 deciding what to do. And I thought, what will make me the most money and not have to go to like 8 years of like, medical school or law school. And tech was it at the time. It's different now, but back then, like you can come out of school making a pretty decent salary with tech. So with going to school for 4 years. So
when did real estate first hit your radar?
Honestly, it was only up until a couple years ago. So I haven't been in, it's only been a couple years, but I decided to dive all into real estate. So everything I have, like the construction Newport Beach house I'm working on, apartments, everything has been in the last few years, and I've dived all into it. So currently what I'm working now is is closing 2 deals. We're working on closing 2 mobile home park deals, which is a fascinating and very niche real estate investment. Mm-hmm. There's just a lot of opportunities there because a lot of mobile home parks are owned by mom and pops, mm-hmm. and very mismanaged. A lot of them are mismanaged, and there's only like 40,000 mobile home parks in America, and a majority of them owned by mom and pops. And so there's a lot of opportunity to go in and fix them up and
increase the value.
Yeah, very quickly.
Was there like a rock bottom moment or a defining moment that pushed you towards investing?
I would say, back to like looking at my own finances and had been working and doing traditional investments and investing in stocks and investing in like mutual funds. And I wouldn't say it was a rock bottom. I wouldn't say it came from a place of hurt or anything like that, but it just came to the realization that I was just giving away money that didn't need to be like lost. Mm-hmm. And that I can take in control of my own finances and manage that and do my own investments. So, yeah.
What was your very first investment deal like? Scary, smooth?
Well, so I started off with land investing.
Okay.
And that was my first dive into real estate. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what I was doing, honestly. I took a course online and I did all the things I sent out a bunch of mailers all across the country.
Well,
looking to buy land at a discount.
mm-hmm.
And then eventually, basically, kind of like wholesaler, put it back on the market at market price.
Okay.
And yeah, it just felt like a complete unknown, honestly. Like, I didn't know anything about real estate. I didn't know what APN was. I didn't know how to look at county records or anything like that. And you know, honestly, like, I no longer do that. And honestly, that was complete failure. And I moved on. But it was a good learning experience. And even though that, like, I wasn't super successful in land investing, I learned a lot, which has transferred into a lot of skills that has transferred into the real estate I look at today,
mm-hmm.
which is like being able to look up data on county records and find previous owners and find like any previous issues with the title, taxes, things like that, and being able to look at property and see, like, is it in a huge flood zone? And so even though that was a complete failure, I kind of learned and took that into a lot of what I do today, especially when looking at mobile home parks, when you're just looking like at acres of land,
mm-hmm.
and wondering, is this a good piece of property to buy?
How did you find your first syndication opportunity?
Starting out, and this is starting out, like, I was interested. I had talked to a lot of people, and I was interested in. I started in this. The next part of my real estate story is I went into apartments, and
mm-hmm.
I was interested in buying an apartment, and I didn't have much experience, and so I just ended up joining a mastermind or like apartment group to learn about it, and there's tons out there, and I ended up just talking to and meeting a lot of people, and getting your first deal is pretty hard as far as acquiring and talking to brokers and finding your first deal. So I ended up joining forces with a fantastic operator that was already buying apartments.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So we joined forces, and I joined and helped raise capital.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was kind of like my first foray into syndications, was to raise capital. And which is, if you're interested in syndications and apartments, that is probably the easiest way to get into it when you have no experience.
So you said like a couple things about joining a investor group, right? Like, did you have to pay to be part of that group or club, or is there free opportunities for people to join? Like, how, if somebody's interested in getting started, like what direction would you point them in?
Well, I would first say, if anybody's interested in, first start talking to people. Don't just hop on the first mastermind. There are tons out there, and some are just so crazy expensive.
Mm-hmm.
There are masterminds out there that cost $30,000-$40,000.
Right.
And before you jump into that, you know, start talking to people that are in your local area and go to meetups and
just like Google investing clubs.
There's YouTube University. There's so much content on there for real estate for free.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants to teach something in real estate.
Yeah.
And so that there's tons and tons of content to digest, and that's, I would start there before shelling out, you know, tens of thousands to a mastermind group. I mean, I don't regret it, but
is that what you did? You did invest a lot of money into these masterminds? I
did. I probably paid a college tuition for my first year, and it was great.
What's the ROI? It's gonna be $3 million this year, right?
That's funny, because the ROI on that is not what I learned in these masterminds.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Because it's a totally different kind of deal, right?
Yeah. The masterminds were apartment syndications, basically. And now I'm doing a flip.
Well, this is the thing, like with the syndications, right? Like you go, like Grant Cardone is doing like a big one, right? You join his investing club, you can pay whatever $40,000 to be part of it and all this stuff, right?
Right.
And then you join it, and then like they're gonna try and sell you on buying in their deals the whole time, right? Like it's so a lot of the time, like I think it's great that you're saying that, like to be careful, because you could just end up in a group where, yes, of course you can network, you can meet a lot of people, but you could also just be like, they're gonna try and sell you the next thing, right?
Yeah.
And so it's like you want to make sure I think the best way to learn from anyone is like find someone who's actually doing it and successful at it, and try and partner with them, try and work with them, try and learn from them, right? Instead of paying maybe for a mentor or a course that 50,000 people are in, and you're going to kind of get lost in it. You really need to like be in somebody's operation who's actually successfully doing it, and almost like work for free or learn from them before you can do it successfully on your own. Do you agree with that philosophy?
Yeah, I definitely 100% agree with it. I mean, if you can find somebody and have them as your personal mentor and just work with them and work for free or do all the
help
things,
them with the things they're doing and learn.
that is definitely the best way. And taking action and just doing it, that's the best way.
Totally.
But I'm not going to knock being in like a mastermind and stuff, because
so much you can learn.
It really is about the people that you meet and the networking opportunity. And that's all I would probably really join a big mastermind for, is if it was a good group that I knew that I could network with, and we can maybe find potential partners in there. Or it's all about the networking.
Yeah. And a lot of these guys, like I just said, like Grant Cardone, for example, like there's a ton of value that you can learn from it. I mean, I just saw the other day he posted out, he's paid $8 million out to his investors. Like there's like, you can do it, like it's not a bad thing, right? But it is something that like, it's better if you can find somebody like directly, and maybe you can find somebody like that through the actual mastermind that you're in, right? That's how you could connect with the mentor.
Networking. Yeah.
Did you build it's Rimray, is that how I say it? Rimray,
yeah. So
Rimray, did you build that while you're still working, or how did you juggle both, like if you did, or did you do it after you finished?
I started Rimray after I came to the realization my daughter went back to school, and cool. I wanted to forge a path in real estate, so I started Rimray. And so Rimray is really, it comes from both of my kids' names, so Remy and Raya, and so two merged together and became, and it's I
had a feeling.
You did? Okay.
When I said Rimray, it sounded like two different names. Yeah.
Yeah, it's for me, so it's like a constant reminder of why I started Rimray, right? Because it's like, yes, to help other people like build passive income, invest in real estate, but also why am I doing it? It's for my kids, ultimately leave a legacy, build wealth for my kids. Right.
That's awesome. How did you structure your first deals? Was it JV, syndications, 506c?
Well, my first deal was like the apartment syndication, right, where I joined forces with the operator and raised capital. So that was a 506c, and so that was an offering, like a SEC offering, public syndication, and yeah, it was basically structured with typical syndication. There's different parts of the team, people, there's asset managing, people raising capital, but technically not raising capital. They're doing other things because it's not legal just to be the person raising capital in a syndication. And we all just kind of work together to, it's basically like kind of crowdfunding and buy the deal.
So what does your team look like now versus your first deal?
Well, now I am working on a few different things. I'm working on mobile home parks, and they are smaller JVs, not a huge syndication, just a few partners, close knit. They are smaller deals, so not totally raising a lot of money, but very lucrative all the same. And then for the flip, it's just solo. It's just me managing the day to day. Well, I have a GC, but
So you're kind of like overseeing the GC and that process, and then you're
Right.
trying to keep it like tighter knit the deals. So
Yes,
that
the deals are tighter knit now. Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
From originally from when you're with the bigger operator, or from like your first deal.
From my first deal to now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this year, I'm just kind of focusing on smaller deals.
What made you want to do that transition into like a smaller deal size than bigger deal?
It's just, well, one, the deals are smaller, so we're not raising a ton of money, but it's also at the same time less management overall.
Okay.
Because when you involve like when it is a huge syndication, there's a ton of paperwork, and also, it's investor relations with tons of people.
Yeah.
And so I'm just trying to narrow in and be more specific and really focus in on like the operations of the mobile home park and properties, and just be very like laser focused on, for example, on the build that we're doing in Newport, getting that done as quickly as possible.
And in real estate, I mean, your team isn't just employees, right? Your team could be, I'm sure you have a ton of brokers that you're dealing with. I'm sure you get a ton of different contractors that you have in your network now. I'm sure that you have, a ton of different, like lawyers or different people you go to for advice when you're in a deal, right? Like there's probably a lot of, those are all your team too, right?
Exactly.
I mean, so
Yeah.
I'm sure that that's grown a lot, and you have different processes on how you deal with those different, they're sending you deal flow. Like you have, a difference on how you're doing that. So like, who were your first kind of hires, and how did you decide what roles to fill?
Well, primarily I'm just working with me, but my first hires are VAs,
Okay.
basically to extend myself.
Yeah, totally.
Basically extend the things that I don't need to be doing, such as like bookkeeping and editing video.
Yeah.
Which I have no idea how to do.
Yeah.
So it's
So outsourcing those like tasks.
Outsourcing the task, just like who not how book.
Yeah.
Outsourcing the task that I'm not an expert in, and I don't really need to be doing. And then what is my self hourly rate? So.
What do you look for, like when you're looking at brokers to send you deals? Like, what are you looking for when you're trying to like find the right brokers to work with?
I get a lot of email brokers from emails in my inbox.
Okay, so they just kind of find you.
Yeah, you just, when you're looking at listings, you end up with a lot of broker listing emails in your inbox. Somehow I've signed up something for somewhere.
Do you get like off-market opportunities through there?
Yeah, and then also, specifically, like I'm narrowing in on market research, a specific market for future deals. And for mobile home parks, I'm specifically looking in like the Omaha area. And so, broker relationships and calling brokers around specific in that area that are specifically brokering mobile home parks.
So do you use ChatGPT in your business right now?
A ton.
How do you utilize it?
I use it for everything. I honestly just started using it a lot, like exponentially a lot this year. And there's somebody was telling me about this really great AI monthly mentorship called Peter Swain.
Okay.
His name is Peter Swain, the AI guy. And so I ended up subscribing it, and he has like weekly calls, and he teaches you a ton about how to use AI for everything.
What are like some of the coolest things that you probably do all the time now that you didn't know about before?
Still coming up.
Walk us through the blueprint from scaling from $0 to your first $1 million raised.
So basically, I've set up ChatGPT to have a clone of me. Her name is Ivy.
Mm-hmm.
I tell her, and Ivy has a lot of different roles, but she helps me with vetting deals. So I use her a lot to upload a broker offering memorandums, and then I ask her questions to help me. Like, and this is very high level. Obviously, you're using AI. Everything you still have to review because everything in AI doesn't come out all right or all correct. But I use her, Ivy, my AI clone, to initially vet deals.
Yeah.
So I'll upload the offering memorandum.
Yeah.
I'll ask her, what can I do here? What do you think would be the business strategy? What are the comps in this area?
Mm-hmm.
What are the, how do you think I can make the value of this park greater? And she spits out some ideas to me. She's also Ivy's also a really great newsletter writer. So I use her a lot for copywriting. Obviously, it's the initial and I don't copy paste. But she gives it's more for idea, the context and ideas. But I also use it for a lot of market research, right? So I say, and I have a lot of buying criteria input into her as far as what I'm looking for in a deal. And
What would you say to her? Hey, I want land over this square footage. I want, I want this price for this area. How do you set? How did you make that clone? What is she programmed to do?
So I have files uploaded. I have criteria uploaded. And
what is criteria though? Meaning?
So criteria, for example, my buy box or my buying criteria for mobile home parks. And what I'm looking for.
What is your buying criteria for a mobile home park?
It would be, there's a lot of factors that go into it, like population.
Okay.
There's a specific population. If a town is less than 30,000, if it's, we're generally looking for a mobile home park that is in a town more than 30,000. But if it's not, it has to be somewhat close to a metro area with a population of 1 million. So that's one. Some others are distance. Is it an hour within a metro area? And what are the economics of that area? What are some of the big companies? Who are the big employers in that area? So a bunch of just general market research.
Awesome. So you have that all programmed into chat, and then
Basically, I say, so what do you think about Denison, Iowa? Is this a good, market for a mobile home park?
Yeah.
And it knows my criteria.
Yeah.
So she'll spit back to me.
She'll tell you if you're wasting your time or not. Right away.
She'll spit all the numbers, Denison population, and then, how far it is, how many miles is it, and here are the big employers, and yada, yada. And check. And at the end, it'll be a summary. Check. Or no go. Can
she search what's available on the market too, or is it more you'll get your criteria and then you'll look at deals on LoopNet or Zillow or contact brokers in the area to find hey, I'm looking for this in Dennis, Ohio?
I haven't used her to find listings. I don't know if I would use her to find
So you help her find a
geographic
area, or you'll have her look at an offering?
I have a specific area in mind. So
cool.
If I have a thought, I might have an OM or I have a specific area. And then
it's fascinating to me how different business owners use ChatGPT. So I always like to ask, because in every industry, you're utilizing it to, we use it all the time here. So it's
what are you using it for here?
I haven't written an email in the last 2 years. I dictate all my emails. I tell it to, that's the number one thing I use it for, is to summarize emails for me, make it look super professional, just dictate it in 2 minutes, have the email done.
I've actually started using this really great thing called Superhuman AI for emails, and it does kind of uses AI to do all that.
It's awesome.
Yeah, helps you write emails. You put in a few words and then it'll draft the whole thing, and it makes it so much faster.
I use it for SOPs a lot. Creating an SOP for, it could be something like closing out a commission. What's the process we go through? Scripts for new, CSR. The way I really utilized it was I built out our whole sales process, our whole sales department. We probably have 20 different documents, save for how to go through an insurance process, how to sell a sales process, how to what steps you need to take once you sell a job, how to use the CRM. Like everything is like super documented. Whenever I have like personnel issues or HR things, we'll do our write-ups on there. We'll do like performance reviews on there. Like, so basically like for scopes of work for roofing, like we kind of like give it like the general thing, and it makes it like so much more detailed when we're doing our job descriptions for posting. Like it will show, like we always like to incorporate like our mission, vision, and core values into the job description, so like we're like selling a future to somebody too, if they join our team. So we utilize it for that, to create the job descriptions. Like, hey, I need a job description for like a graphic designer, and so it will come up with a lot more detail than I'm thinking of.
So good. There's so many things.
So many things we use it for. Like checking like legal things too. Like we'll check with the attorney, but if it's like maybe somebody just got terminated, like, hey, what's the law in California of the time frame you need to provide somebody with the last check? Can you provide me with a checklist to make sure that I do this compliant with California labor laws? And then like it will like search the web for like California, and like
so good.
So there's a ton of applications we use it for.
I do that too for like contracts. I'll upload it and tell me what are my risks, what are my assumptions, what am I missing. I mean, obviously, you still have a lawyer and you still look at things.
Yeah, but it speeds up the process so much, because like a lawyer might take 24 hours to get back to you. This can be done in 5 minutes. I can just text my lawyer, hey, can you look this over, make sure it looks right, and then like it's a shortcut. So there's a lot of uses for it.
Yeah, what's great is you can talk to it now. Like so on your if you go on a daily walk, you can bounce off ideas and talk to it on your phone. Like, hey, so tell me the pros and cons of. I
mean, dude, I get like in a fight with my wife, and like I'll like ask if I was right or wrong, and it gives me like the logical like reasoning of like, you technically could be right, but here are the reasons why she could be right, and it's crazy. And I know that there's some people out there these days, like when they're dating, like they'll be like, how do I respond to this text? How do I respond to this text? Like it's like, this is where we are now. Where are we gonna be in like 5 or 10 years with it? So it's
it's so funny. My niece in high school was telling me the other day, she'll when she has like she it's like her counselor. Like when she has problems, she'll like go to ChatGPT. It's kind of dangerous in a way, I guess.
So just to circle back, like walk us through the blueprint from scaling from $0 to your first $1 million raised.
Okay, so from $0, like raising, initially it's like asking family and friends, and like you don't have any systems built to getting a lot of no's and rejections.
You don't even have a website. It's just like
you don't have.
You're
just kind of being really scrappy, and it's just kind of like struggling and trying to figure like how, like being awkward about it, to not and thinking that you have to be salesy, which you don't. You shouldn't be. To when you are raising more money, it's like now you have systems in place. You have things like email campaigns. You have newsletters. You try to put out, like for me, it's more about like putting out value and putting out education about, helping people with investing and helping people learn about real estate and helping people learn about finances in all regard, like with, even like how to set yourself up financially with your family and your kids. And the more value that you can add, it's the more people are interested in talking to you, versus in the more that you can provide an informational component, then that's how you really scale, and that's how you really get to being able to raise like 1 mil or more.
What's your investor onboarding process like from intro to funding?
Well, it's always about having a relationship, and it's not one of those things when people are investing, it's like, okay, here's the money. It's a process. It's building out a relationship and talking to people over time. Might not be the first ask. It might not be the second time. It's probably not the third time that you talk to them or they've seen some content that you have. It's going to be probably like 6 or 7 times. Usually, I think the average is like 6 or 7 times before people are saying, oh, I'm interested in investing with you. I like what you're doing, or I like, what you're saying, or I like what you're putting out there. So it's a process, but on top of that, if you're doing, syndications, and if you're doing SEC, like, you do need a relationship for a lot of the deals that are not public, that are not 506c. So you do need to have, some relationship before you can offer anything to them.
So how do you vet deals and markets, and then what filters must every deal pass?
So I go through a large underwriting process for, when I'm looking at mobile home parks. I go through have a big underwriting model, and I put in what my thoughts on, like, what we're going to do there, as far as, like, are we going to fill the vacant lots, raise the rents, what is our business strategy? And I'm looking for specific metrics. Does it give a good, is it cash flowing day one? What does it look like 5 years from now? Do we have different ways we can exit it? Can we cash out refinance, or what will it look like when we sell it? How much would the valuation be? So that all goes into how I vet a deal. And that's at the very high level, but there's a lot of things that go into it. Obviously, one where I asked ChatGPT, I asked Ivy, what do you think about this market? That's the very first step. And then,
So I guess, like, what's your due diligence process before saying yes to a property?
That the numbers work. The numbers have to work. And we're cash flowing, and we're going to make a decent return for not just ourselves, but if there's investors, everybody's making a decent return, and we think that we can add value to it, and it'll be worth, like,
what's your timeline?
2x return for everybody at the end of the 5 years.
Okay.
So typical hold time is 5 years.
Okay.
It could be 7 years, but at the end of 5 years, we're looking to 2x everybody's investment, 2x my investment, and everybody walks away feeling pretty good.
So what role does storytelling and education play in investor acquisition?
Well, I think it's an art, storytelling. I think it's not just about, storytelling isn't just for, like, acquisition, but it's about, sorry, can you say that again?
Yeah, the question is, like, what role does storytelling and education play in investor acquisition?
So it's all about bringing value to the investor, right? It's all about bringing value to
like, you're educating these investors, right? You're telling them the vision of the opportunity, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes. And it's super important because, like, you're basically telling them your story. Like, I'm telling my story about my path into investing, because, we're looking for, I don't know. It's, people want to hear your story, right?
Yeah.
And people want to feel connected, and people want to feel like they relate to you.
Yeah.
And so when I'm telling my story to an investor, I was in their shoes, and I want them to feel like, we can connect that way where, I was learning about investing way back when, and I was looking, and I realized I needed some passive income. I realized that passive income was the way to, financial freedom or doing the things that I want to do. And so really it's just about telling my story to them, and hopefully they find some value in that, but also find value in knowing and learning about building multiple streams of passive income. Because ultimately, like, you can be working your job, but if you don't have multiple streams of passive income, if you get laid off or you get fired, what are you going to rely on, right? What is your you might have a little bit of a nest egg. Hopefully you have a big nest egg, but that'll end eventually, right? So you want to find ways to have streams of passive income. They say that you should have at least 7 streams of passive income to feel comfortable, right?
Yeah.
If something were to happen.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, I asked you a question because, like you said, you have your story, Rimray. It's your children's name. You wanted to kind of like step away from the career to be an entrepreneur and build wealth and, have that time with your family. And I think for investors, it's like, I was curious like how you utilize that like in your process, but I'm sure that there's, like you said, you want to show how you're relating to them and connecting, like how can they connect to you? How can they trust you with their money, right? And it's like you showing them the success of your deals and you understanding the process and you can handle it, but also like your why for doing it. I think that's why people invest in a company. It's because of the person behind the company, right?
Yes, definitely.
So who were your mentors, like, and advisors, and what's the biggest lesson they taught you?
Well, I've had different mentors and advisors. I mean, I had different mentors in the masterminds that I've been in. It's always a learning process. Like I never stop learning. Right now, because I'm doing mobile home parks.
Yeah.
One of my big like mentors or person that I subscribe to and follow is Frank Rolfe. And he's like a really great mobile home park operator. And so I've learned a lot from him about how he does things and how he, I was just in Omaha on one of his, doing a walking tour with several of his mobile home parks and doing case studies and learning how he improved the park and how he bought a park for $4 million and 3 years later it's worth $7 million. And so, I mean, it's not just one mentor. It's an ongoing process. Like it's depending on what I'm doing. But right now it's mobile home parks. It's it's just a continual learning process.
So what's one deal that went sideways and what did you learn?
Well, there's one deal that went sideways that is an apartment deal that was early on in my career that I invested in it as a limited partner in a syndication, and that was a great learning lesson because I didn't know really what I was doing. It was one of my first deals, and I invested it because I knew the person, and I thought they were really smart. I trusted them because I knew them personally, but I didn't do all my due diligence, and as far as the market and their track record. And so that deal has kind of gone sideways and probably will lose my initial investment. And the big learning I have from that is always vet the sponsors. Like, do your due diligence on, you might not know everything about the market, but you need to vet, like, the people operating it, do they have a good track record? Have they gone through multiple cycles, and have they gone through multiple deals and finished and sold them successfully or refinanced successfully? Is this the first time that the actual team is together? And so things like that, like vetting the operator and sponsorship team, is super important. And I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that I did in my initial investments, was that I didn't do that. And so I mean, that I highly recommend for everybody. There's like a checklist of like 50 questions I have now to go over before I actually like do an investment with someone in a syndication.
What are some of those like top questions?
Well, I mean, the most important ones are like is this the first time that you're working as a team together? And in this case, with this failed apartment investment, that was the first time they were all like separately had years of experience working separately, but not together. And it's so important that the team, that they actually have been working together at least through several deals together. And this was their first deal together, which didn't work out. But yeah, the other important one is, have they worked together to go through multiple deals and have dealt with shit before, that like the shit hit the fan and they had to go fix something, whether it be like expenses out of control, management out of control. What did they have to deal with, and then what did they have to fix? Like, have they dealt with hard issues before? So really just kind of vetting the sponsor, really, and asking their experience.
What do you think is the number one reason like most people fail at real estate syndications?
Well, these days there's a lot of news in the market about failed syndications where, properties are getting returned and people are losing their capital because in the past few years, we've seen interest rates jump considerably, and the people buying back in 2021 when interest rates were really low and refinancing with like variable rates are now facing, they can't refinance, or their interest rates have shot up that we can't refinance, and then, or they're no longer cash flowing, they're no longer making their payments, and people are losing their capital and properties are being returned to the bank. So that's something to be wary of for financing is what I would say is another thing on the checklist. Always ask about what kind of financing that the apartment has, right?
Totally.
And what is their strategy behind that?
Because you want to understand how much they're financing, how much there's going to be paid cash.
Well,
or what do you mean?
If they have, for example, they took on a bridge loan, or if they've taken on, variable financing, adjustable rate financing, and it's like, did they buy, for example, a rate cap on that, and how long is that good for? Are they highly leveraged? How long is the rate cap for? And are they highly leveraged? Sorry. And
because you want to understand like what you're getting into as far as like, do they understand how to structure the financing and the deal properly and protect themselves?
Well, what is their objectives? I mean, I know some operators do take adjustable rate financing because they are doing like high value add, but do they have a game plan at the end of that, term of further financing, or do they have enough capital to buy another rate cap?
Got it.
When that rate.
So if shit hits the fan, is there a plan in place?
Is there a plan in place? Exactly.
And you need to vet this ahead of time to make sure, because a lot of syndications can fail because they didn't set up the financing correctly.
Exactly.
What's something you believed about money early on that's now something you completely disagree with? Like an early belief that now that you would maybe it's a common belief that people think all the time that you would.
You know, when I was younger, I used to always watch like Susie Orman and.
What's that?
You don't know who Susie? Oh my God, I feel like really old now. She was like this financial advisor that she had a show, and she's like a Dave Ramsey kind of.
Okay.
Like a Dave Ramsey.
I know who Dave Ramsey is.
Susie Orman, save like 6-8 months.
Like save all your money, no debt.
Yeah,
okay.
no debt, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Like Dave Ramsey, have no debt, right? And it's so funny when you get into real estate, you have to switch that mindset because all you think about is debt and how much like
calculated risk, right?
Yeah, but but also like there's good debt and then there's bad debt, right? So explain
that to our listeners. What's good debt?
Well, good debt is if you're leveraging, if you're taking out a loan to buy something that is going to make you money, I mean, that's good debt, right? Like if you're buying a house and you're going to rent it out.
Like if you can borrow money for 4% and you can get them to pay 8% and you can make the difference, it's good, right?
Good debt, right?
Because you're making money on the money.
Yeah. And when you're doing deals, and you're underwriting, there's leverage and unleverage.
Meaning debt and no debt.
Exactly. And so with the debt, your returns are, often look much better than without it. And in terms of investments, right, for real estate. And then bad debt. Obviously, bad debt is like, I'm charged too much on my credit card. That's bad debt. That's not making you money. You're buying a car. That's not going to make you money. You're actually losing money because cars don't appreciate or anything like that.
Spending money you don't have on a credit card is bad debt.
Bad debt, exactly.
Okay, looking forward, what are your next 3 to 5 year goals for Rimway Equity? Rimway Equity.
Say that 3 times real fast. Just kidding. It's to continue growing and scaling and building our portfolio. I'm just laser focused on continuing to buy more mobile home parks this year and next year and continue to grow that way. Yeah.
How do you define life by design now that you've helped others live it?
I love that term, life by design. I also feel like it's, what is the word, kitschy? But
like catchy?
Catchy. Like,
okay, yeah.
But it really means when you have the 3 Fs. Going back to the 3 Fs. When you're architecting your life and you're doing the things that you want to be doing, where you want to be doing it, when you want to be doing it.
What are the 3 Fs?
Financial freedom, time freedom, location freedom, right? So living life by design is being your architect, your own architect, not living by somebody else's terms and making things happen. So
make a damn plan.
Make a plan, right? Make things happen and live how you want it to live.
What are some tax strategies you've learned that more people should know?
Definitely real estate cost segregation. If you're buying real estate and it's an investment property, you can take advantage, especially now that it's come back to 100% bonus depreciation. It's super exciting for real estate investors. Take advantage of that as much as you can so that you can not pay taxes.
What's the most misunderstood part of passive investing?
That it's not truly hands off, because passive income, it's really, you should always understand what you're investing in and not just throwing in money and sitting back and doing nothing. I mean, you should be monitoring your investments, know how much that you're making from your investments. But also, before you make the investment, really understand it. Don't invest in stuff that you completely have no understanding of, right? Like, I wouldn't go invest in car washes because I have no idea how a car wash works, right? So
stay in your realm of like what you understand.
Yeah. Or make sure that you know somebody that knows thoroughly what they're doing.
That's a good point.
In that investment.
What would you do differently if you're starting again in 2025?
I don't know. I'm on the path that I like right now.
So you do things the way you've done it. Get around the right network.
Keep on networking and keep on
utilizing ChatGPT a little more, maybe.
Trying to make
from the beginning.
Figuring out ChatGPT maybe more. Probably hire more VAs to help me scale.
I love that. If you had to give yourself a 3-step plan, your younger self, to escape the 9-to-5 rat race, what would it be?
Start investing early. Don't wait. Like, the earlier you start investing, the earlier you could be getting to the 3 Fs. Like, so many people just wait, and also don't wait on buying real estate. Buy as much as you can. People are always like, wait till
the market
I don't know
back.
the market's bad. I'm not sure if I should buy now. It doesn't matter. Buy when the numbers work. If the numbers work, if you can make some income, always buy it, right?
Okay.
And in California, always keep it, because in California, real estate always appreciates, which I regret selling past properties in the past, because I wish I kept it now. But
how do you keep the balance between business, family, and personal health as a mother and CEO?
So lately, days have been waking up a lot earlier. You know, my younger self, I probably slept in a little later. Go to my job, pick up the kids. Now gotta wake up, like, set my alarm clock for 4:35 a.m.
Wow.
That's another book, the 5 a.m. club.
Yeah.
Try to get a work on it. Luckily, we set up a gym in my garage, so try to get a workout in the garage, because I think it's really important when you are a solopreneur, entrepreneur. Your day can get sidetracked so easily, and you don't spend the time on yourself.
I love it.
To do, like, if you're not,
gotta fill your cup first, man.
Exactly. If you're not working out and doing the things for yourself, I mean, that's what fuels your brain.
Yeah.
If you have
100% agree.
Yeah. So it's waking up early, trying to fit in as much as I can before the kids wake up.
Okay.
And then the day starts, and then I spend time with them.
Mm-hmm.
And make sure that I have time spent with them, and then they go off to school and working.
Mm-hmm.
We're working, and then working after they go to sleep, even. So it all fits in. There's 24 hours in a day. It just maybe waking up a little bit earlier, maybe staying up a little later, but trying to fit it all in. It's tough, honestly. It's not easy.
It's definitely something you got to earn, right? It's not. Nobody ever said it would be easy.
Yeah, until you do the whole who not how and buy back your time.
Yeah,
and you can eventually
we'll be like Richard Branson, and
exactly. Everybody else is doing all the things, and we check in sometimes on our own island.
So what legacy do you want Rimray Equity to leave behind?
Well, first, it's having built a legacy for my kids, that not only that they have a wealth, like a foundation for them and for the future, but that they are also, like, packed with knowledge about financial literacy. Like, they know how to invest. And I'm always trying to figure out ways and teach them how to, be smart with their money and invest. And then also on top of that, like impart that with other people that I know, that I come into contact with Remray, is like helping them with the knowledge to build their own wealth and do the things that can help them as far as like passive income and, you know, long-term wealth, leaving legacies for their family.
That's awesome. What does generational wealth really mean to you?
It's, you know, there's a, I can't remember the book, but there's a book where it's like the Rockefellers versus the Vanderbilts, and they're both, you know, lead these wealthy families, and the Rockefeller generation after generation, the wealth has continued, but the Vanderbilt family, they've dwindled their wealth like a generation after, like.
Okay.
And I think it's a statistic where most wealthy families, after like 1 or 2 generations, they've lost their wealth and are no longer wealthy. And so, you know, I hope generational wealth is not just like having the money or having the assets, but also like imparting the knowledge of passing down that knowledge of how to keep it and how be smart about your money and be smart about investing.
Where can people find you, follow your journey, and invest alongside you?
Yeah, so you can find me at remrayequity.com. You can also find me on my Instagram, Dear Ngo X2, and also my podcast, Invest in Rome. You can find me on Apple Podcast, or Spotify, or YouTube.
Dear, that was powerful. I appreciate you pulling back the curtain and sharing the real journey, the wins, the losses, the mindset, and the strategy. These are the kind of conversations that move people forward, and I know that this one will stick with our audience. Thanks for tuning in to Built to Scale. If you got value from today's episode, do me a quick favor, subscribe, leave a review, and share this with someone building something great. Your support helps the show grow and makes it easier for me to bring on even bigger names and incredible guests like Dear Ngo. So thank you so much. Follow me, Quinn Vincent, on Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn, and TikTok for daily behind the scenes, insights, and momentum to fuel your journey. Until next time, keep building, keep believing, and remember, legacy isn't given, it's built.